That was appalling.
David Shearer.
Speaker, that's 5 minutes of my life I won't get back again. I just wanted to start by saying, Mr Speaker, that economics is not obviously the National Party's strong point. The number of times I have stood in this Parliament or taken a call after a Speaker has taken credit for the fall in interest rates being the result of government policy. My God, I mean, this is the result of a tsunami of different events throughout the world. It's certainly got nothing to do with this government's policy. But the last couple of days, Mr Speaker, we have heard that finally National have unleashed a new plan, the new strategy. It's called muddling through. It's called muddling through. What we have here, Mr Speaker, is a plan where we're not quite sure where we're going, but we'll sort of hopefully get there. We've got a finance minister that went across the United States, met in Washington with all the head of the IMF, the World Bank, etc., came back and said the sky is falling and scaremongering, and our Prime Minister says, don't worry, we'll muddle through. Sir, that's not a plan. That's not a plan, and neither is a plan that goes like this, which is what the Prime Minister's been articulating for the last 2 years. This is how it goes. Asia is getting richer. Asia will need more protein. New Zealand produces more protein, therefore we'll be okay. That's not a strategy or a plan either. That's a hope. That's a hope that we can continue to do the same old stuff and we'll still be able to just muddle through and get there. Well, it's not good enough. It's not good enough, and I'll tell you why it's not good enough, and the previous speaker talked about some of those statistics. $18 billion debt. They inherited a surplus. In 3 years, an $18 billion debt. GDP per capita that is 3.6% lower now than in 2008. Half of the population of New Zealand has not had a pay increase in the last 12 months, but they know that the prices have gone up 5.5%. 0.1% growth in the latest quarter, in the second quarter. 0.1%, just over the zero. Just over the zero, but not enough to keep up with population growth. In other words, we're going backwards. Growth, and if you heard Mr Key talk about it today, growth is, and he pointed out this graph, and then under his breath he said, we're growing with the exception of Australia, that's growing much faster. The gap between Australia and New Zealand, Mr Speaker, is growing wider and wider. Earlier this year, it was said that we were going to have an innovative, science-led economic growth plan. It didn't happen. In the budget of 2011, we had a $12 million decrease in the amount of money that we spend on science. We've had more companies queued up to get grants, development grants, by 2/3 than have actually got any development grants. So the innovative economy has been forgotten, and we're back to muddling through and relying on those Asians buying our milk and meat and all those other things that we keep on producing because they're getting richer. Sir, the other thing that we rely on, of course, is the Rugby World Cup and the rebuild of it from the earthquakes. Again, this is a hope. It's not a strategy. We do not see this government coming up with any plan, any strategy to move New Zealand forward. It's simply muddling through on the same old things that it's always muddled through on. They've chucked out tax credits. They've chucked out the money that could have gone into our agricultural sector. We are now putting half of what we were going to put into that sector than what Labor had already in place in 2008. And why did we chuck them out? Because we gave a whole bunch of tax credits to rich people who didn't need them. That's what happened. That's why those particular programs were canned. And so here we are today, Mr Speaker, just out from an election with a recession around the world, about to happen according to our Finance Minister, and our Prime Minister says, it's okay everybody, we're going to muddle through.
Colin King.